setting up my Ferrari and making it floating. If only. Jim's Ferrari. But this will absorb moisture. I usually tie this to the camera if I think I'm going to need it. So I've always got it to hand. And then I don't press it. You make a little thing like that and you just wipe around like that. That will take the moisture away and you can see it.
Okay. Sorry. The more general point that is worth remembering is that these are not only expensive bits of kit, but they're also more delicate than they look. Bits of them are very robust, and bits of them are not robust. The bits that aren't robust are the electronics and the controls. Get water in them and you ruin your camera. Point one. Point two, look after the lens. They do merit being looked after. Richard is meticulous in looking after this, and that's why we've had this for 7 years and it has lasted very well. The better you look after them, like any piece of equipment, the longer they will last. But in terms of the very basics of getting some good film material off your camera, look after it, clean the lens, because so many times I've forgotten to clean the lens and you get a poor shot after. Very basic. So just reiterating on what we heard this morning, it was keeping that camera, thinking about the light, the source of light that you're going to use for your filming. Point one, the greatest possible asset that any filmmaker has is light. Yes, vital. Two, common mistake, not holding that camera wobbling. And it's really difficult. The film we've just seen, shot through without a tripod, obviously from the car, I think Tatras has done terribly well, because if you looked at that, you could see the shape, but it didn't intrude itself on you. You thought that's absolutely fine. But in the circumstances in which we are, particularly, most of his shots were wide and long, so he didn't have much of a problem there. As Richard demonstrated, once you get up close, once you're trying to do that shot, you've got a real problem. So, if you haven't got the tripod, or the tripod's not handy, cheat, improvise to keep it steady. Yeah. And finally, keep that lens clean. And when you turn your camera on, don't forget, if you've got it, to open the shutters. And even put the film on. I've filmed now with Richard for 8 or 9 years, and I find the most challenging thing is not the basic process, but to remember when you're filming, you've got to remember 10 things simultaneously. Okay, you've got to focus it, you've got to think about the sound, you've got to think about your personal safety, you've got to think about keeping the lens clean, you've got to think about all these things at the same time. You never stop learning, and if you're anything like me, you never stop making mistakes. Right, Richard.
Just Jim, while I'm finishing off this, I want you to give a really good demonstration on that camera of, we've mentioned how to set up a tight shot, but what we mean by a tight shot, a mid shot, an establishing shot, and not zooming.
Yeah.
Explain what it is. Or not zooming well.
We've used, when I was talking about scripts, we have used some terms that in photography, cinematography, are quite commonplace and you will probably come across. They can be open to misinterpretation, they can be expressed in different ways, so let's just think about those so that we've all got the same idea in our heads. So if we switch that on, remembering to open shutters. Okay. We got that, Jim. Now, I would see this within reason as, Tatras, what sort of a shot is that? It's halfway between a middle and an establishment, isn't it? get that into the corner and get you all in shot. Okay? So basically, that I would regard as an establishment shot that introduces and sets the scene. Okay? And that can also be described as any other word for it. It's